Hi, I'm Peter.
And I'm Katmia.
Welcome to the
This
and
that
Chat. You were trying to mouth.
yes.
You were trying to mouth my words.
Mouth your words, yes.
Yes.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do, to be honest with you, and I think I talk about this way too much. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do about this, and I feel like I talk about it way too much.
Probably, but that's who we are.
You know? So it's we've never actually had a this is yours. I just know I say my name, then you do you. Sometimes I tried
to bring you in on it with the headphones, but you don't want the headphones.
Well, perhaps we just have the wrong headphones. I think that in this day and age, the right headphones do exist out there.
So we'll look for them.
Yeah. We just haven't found that.
Have you seen the trend that is going around where people make the face and then the other person makes the sound?
Of the face?
Mm-hmm.
Example. No, seriously.
Oh, okay.
What? So you do
right. Okay. And then I would go.
But who determines if that's the correct sound?
It doesn't matter.
Oh.
The point is for one person. So like I would make a sound. I would make a face. And then you would add a sound to it, right? So now you know what my face is, right? So here's the face again, ready? And you make the sound.
Okay.
Ready?
I'm overthinking it already.
You are.
Go ahead.
Ready?
Mm-hmm. I have to make it while you're doing that. Okay. Okay.
Ready?
Uh-huh.
Bro, you suck at this game.
One more time. Go.
You're just having me make faces for the camera, bro.
No. It's one more time.
Okay.
But I'm going to give you a minute.
Okay, ready? Bro, you don't need to make the face. You need to make the sound.
Okay. I can't play this game.
Okay.
I can't play this game.
Okay, you do a face. You do a face.
Okay.
Do a face. Bro, you have to show me the face so I can... Oh my God, my hernia is going to come out.
What? Bro.
Okay, hold on.
What's the thing that we both have a hernia, huh?
I know. Hold on. We'll talk about that in a minute. Go.
Okay. What happened to you?
Bro, your face was funny, bro.
Okay.
The thing is, I thought immediately of what to do with it. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. I thought immediately of what to do with it. Not everyone's going to get it. Okay? But I will explain it so they can look it up and see why. Ready?
Okay. Ready.
Okay. Do the same face.
Mm-hmm. Ready?
Yes.
And...
Hi, I'm Fire Marshal Bill.
Bro, that is funnier to you than it is to most people.
I laughed about it because I enjoyed it.
I
love Fire Marshal Bill.
Yes, you did. So I could never play a game like this because I overthink everything.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I thought about your face was that's a feeling, not a noise. It's like you just tasted a lemon and you're like,
okay,
twitching.
All right.
It's twitching.
Do you want me to do another one?
No.
So you can try.
Okay.
Ready?
I'll try.
Okay, ready? Okay.
Ah! Do it again.
You got it?
Got it.
Okay, ready?
Turtle, turtle.
Oh my God. It's so good. It's so good.
That's actually not a sound. Again, it's from another movie.
No, but it's what comes out of the thing. Okay, you
Is it?
do another
Is it
one.
really?
Yeah.
No, I can't anymore.
One more.
No, I can't.
Bro.
I can't.
It's too funny.
I can't. I think if there was a sound for all the faces I make, that would be interesting.
Why? Oh, like a sound effect?
No, like if every time you made a face in general, there was a sound emitted from your body from that face. Like when you look at someone incredulously, a sound.
You're like, dun 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 dun.
You know, that was the universal sound for that. So you hear that and you're like, oh,
Somebody's in trouble.
yeah, someone did something. Whoa, you know?
What? Who?
You know what I'm
start
saying?
looking around?
But that's why, you know, the very first time I heard about body language, where were you?
Where was I? I don't know. Are you talking about the guy from Tampa?
No.
Remember we saw that there's a former FBI agent or something that he lives in Tampa.
Yeah, but that was recent.
Joe. What was his name?
I'm saying as a kid.
Oh, body language. Oh. What, when your parents scream at you?
No.
For that face?
When did you first hear the concept of body language? I know exactly where I learned that concept.
You're fishing, and I
thought that would just be something that would stand out to people. But see, I have like my own things, right?
So where did it
Little
stand out for you?
Mermaid.
Why Little Mermaid?
Because it's the first time I ever heard that concept about body language. And it's when Ursula is telling Ariel about, you know, using her body, and she's like walking like that, and she's like, body language. It was the first time I had ever. So when I hear body language, I hear it in Ursula's voice. I hear it in that sing-song way that she did it. You'll pull up the clip in a little bit and you'll watch it. But it's the first time I heard about body language. And obviously it's something that exists, but no one had ever put it into a term before, right? So that intrigued me. What is this about body language, and how is it so important that people can read you and they know what you're feeling based on your body language, you know?
Well, it's like it's like your face. We talked about this. Where your face can say a lot.
You're saying me or in general, a person's face? In general.
Like,
because I feel like my face says a lot.
Yeah, if you make a face, like I've had to tell you, hey, your face, because you wear it.
I have my people at work who also tell me that.
Well, the thing is that you wear what's going on
in my head.
You stop. You like freeze yourself. It's just who you are.
Freeze myself. What do you mean?
Like something's happening and you're like,
oh yeah.
There's no filter.
Yeah.
You're sitting up in your chair.
I am.
Are you still in frame?
I am.
You still have space?
Yeah, and I think I'm stuck.
Why?
Because since I'm in frame and since it's the right amount that you told me over my head and all that stuff. You want me to be laid back?
No, you can.
Because I can lean forward real quick. If you push my buttons just right. Is that not true?
Yes.
I feel like
I'm saying for you to be comfortable. I don't want you to be uncomfortable. If you're inside the little box, you're good. No matter where that little box is.
My back feels all of a sudden relieved.
Well, you looked uncomfortable.
Oh, thank you.
Again, body language.
So it's interesting how you can be perceptive of certain things. And again, in general, speaking of marriages,
I'm about to get stabbed.
There's so many times in which that's the issue, is that one of the spouses is usually unaware that the other one is going through something. Mm-hmm. I don't know so much that I believe that they're unaware, more than they see it and they don't know what to do with it. No, they don't know what to do with it. So it's like, you don't want to touch it. I'm just going to pretend I don't see it.
A little bit afraid to brush the subject. I can see this because, so I think we've talked about this on the podcast before. I think before we started the video, obviously, but so we downloaded the Paired app. It's been over a year because I just renewed it. And what's cool about the Paired app is that it asks you deliberate, not deliberate. That's not what I'm looking for.
Intentional. I think you mean to say
intentional questions to provoke conversation
with your partner.
Right? And I feel like it's been really, really good. We took a little bit of a break just because of so I felt like we got so good at communication. Like we were like really, really like solid, and then we kind of stopped doing the app for a little bit because we were communicating so well. But what happened? The communication started to decline a little bit, not in a bad way, but we got comfortable with the space that we were in, and we just started up the app again. We've been doing it now for another week or so, and it's starting to provoke again some conversations. It's starting to do a little bit of making it like more intentional in the way that we are talking to each other or what we're saying to each other. We're being a little bit more, I don't want to say calculated, because calculated is a bad way of saying it, but we're trying to be a little bit more intentional with what we say to each other and how we are seeing the other person feel and that kind of stuff. So I feel like realizing where you're at with your body language, with how you're sitting, with how we sit on the couch, if I'm shifting one way or you're sitting another, and like we're being more open to what the other person is feeling before the other person needs to tell us.
I feel like this is so important for me to be able to hear this from you, because it gives me insight into your perception of things, right? And to hear you say it, right? If I'm a viewer, I'm thinking that's exactly what I need with my husband, right? I need this so that we can have a conversation. I'm already imagining like what this is like and all that stuff. And I have a completely different experience, right? But it helps me to see how meaningful it is to you. All right. To me, this is not something that causes us to have conversation like this, right? It's sent through an app as a response to a question. You share your thoughts on the question that we are asked, and I share my thoughts on that. Sometimes that causes us to have an offline conversation about, hey,
This
that
was an interesting comment.
That,
I
didn't know that you felt that way, or that was very sweet what you said. That's it. It doesn't cause conversation, but there is an engagement that we have with each other through the app, right? Where it's not your everyday, what are you doing for work? What time are you going to be home? Right? Which I'm all for the little whatevers of the day conversation, but this is something, what is a dream that you had since you were a child that you would like to make possible?
It's thought-provoking questions.
Yeah, and so you put your answer, I put my answer, and then we can even chat on the app about it, but that's not a question I would have asked you, right? Maybe.
And
I do ask a lot of questions.
Yeah. And some of the questions are just really super random.
Right.
So, like, we'll answer them and then we'll chuckle about them because we're like, that was kind of silly, but whatever.
But not to take away from how good it has been, because I do feel that the app in the beginning was asking, because you have an option to do journeys, right? And so you do like a 5-week journey on communication. And that was extremely helpful to us to just see our different communication styles, to appreciate different ways that we express ourselves, whatever. And that's where I feel it was very helpful, where that translated to outside of the app, we were putting those things into practice.
Yeah.
Right?
At first, in the beginning, it was kind of awkward, to be honest with you, because the way that we were communicating with each other needed to change to be able to explore the thoughts that were being brought up, because we would talk about anything from dreams to how we feel the other person is when they do something, to they ask all the hard questions, including in your intimate life, in your friendship part, in your just everyday, in your work, in your mind, in your heart. Like, it's just, these are questions that are meant to bring these things out to the surface so that you can share them, with your partner.
Right.
And I think that has been, that for me, that's been the coolest part, is the fact that I've gotten a better understanding of how you think. And I think you've gotten a better understanding of how I think.
I absolutely. However,
And we still have a lot of work to go.
And that's what I was going to say,
learning.
is that I feel that for us personally in our relationship, and I think this is so important for our kids to hear, is that for us, everything's always been a very slow process. I feel that conversations that we had year one didn't fully mature into changes, let's say, until year 10. So everything is like, you're in for the long haul. It's going to take a while. And there have been amazing positive changes in how we communicate, from being more patient to asking better questions to just understanding and all stuff. And yet there's still things that right off the bat, I'm thinking eventually we're going to get there, right?
Well, we have 25 years of habits in how we talk to each other that have had to be broken in the last year. I feel like in the last year, we have moved our communication 10 years forward.
I mean, it definitely felt like a really energetic boost, that was a hyper accelerated boost. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's been really good. And yet there's still these little things where we either have to go back to remember what we learned or whatever. Right. But in all transparency, when we stopped doing the app, right? Because it's a daily thing that we do, right? When we stopped doing it, even though it doesn't, I mean, I would say that probably 80 to 90% of the time, it doesn't actually translate to us sitting down and having a conversation about something. It's in the moment communication. To me, I feel like there's little things that I hold on to that are meaningful, right? So to me, getting this little glimpse into how you think over dumb little things was very important to me, right? And I think we entered into your busy season. Maybe you felt it was repetitive. I don't know. But we did stop because you weren't engaged in it anymore. And then all of a sudden, you're the one who was like, let's go back, which was even more meaningful to me. Because
it meant a lot.
I don't want to do things that we're doing them because I want us to do them. To me, it means more if you want to do it,
Yeah, it meant a lot for us to have that communication when we were doing it, and the way that it changed. Because one thing that I have always said to you, and this is being completely transparent, one thing I've always said to you is that I've always felt like I can't be in an argument with you because I can't stay on
You can't
pace.
win.
I can't stay on pace with you. Like, you're just like, you have a memory that you remember things. You can go back to things. Like, there's you just have it. It's like almost like
Like you're representing yourself, and
yes,
I'm
and
like
you're
the state attorney.
The state attorney. And I always said that to you. I was like, man, I just feel like I'm not. And the problem was, it wasn't that I didn't have an argument to present.
Right.
I just didn't know how to present it with you.
Right.
And then with this, what it has done is that it has shown me, okay, this is how I need to do it. This is because anytime that I would start to, say something on my behalf, your body language would tell me like, bro, I wasn't done. I was in the middle of a sentence. You cut me off. You're killing me here. And then what ends up happening is that you actually disengage a little bit. And that disengagement then creates a separation in the conversation, which then at the end of the half-hour conversation, we've resolved nothing and we're still looking at each other negatively and we've done nothing.
Right. It feels very unproductive.
But now we have, a disagreement and we'll have a conversation. And at the end of that conversation, even if we're not on the same page, we are walking away from that conversation with an understanding of where I stand and an understanding of where you stand.
And sometimes it needs to be chewed on a little bit.
And sometimes we chew on it a little bit and we come back to it. And then the second half of the conversation is 5 minutes long. Chung, chung, chung. Done. Moved it out to the side and we're off to the races again. So that has been a huge, huge plus.
And something that we realized this past week, which was just like a new perspective, I feel, that I had never thought about
I already
before.
drank all my water.
I have another one for you. Is that the things that we argue about are so minute. Mm-hmm. But not in a way that you would say, oh my God, they argue about everything,
what was
right?
What was that, the last one? I don't even remember.
No, it's not safe for work.
Oh, it's not?
No. Bro, remember the memory?
Oh, yes.
Okay, just trust.
I don't remember it, but
I know. I love how you purge things. But what I'm saying is that we do not remember that it's not that we are like, oh, they fight about every little thing. No. It's that the big arguments, the ones that are like the normal big arguments that couples have, that's actually like teeny tiny stuff for us. It's something that it's because we feel off with each other. All of a sudden it becomes a big argument. That's the subject matter is something so insignificant.
right.
So
I remember what we argued about.
Oh.
It was silly.
Yes.
It was ridiculous.
You were the one who actually pointed out that was actually something that was, hey, a positive, right?
Yeah.
Think about the fact that it's not that we're arguing over anything
we
that's
were arguing about something that was good for us on both sides. We were on, using my little analogy, we were on the same track heading to the same place. No, we were on two different tracks, but we were heading to the same place. So we were running parallel, but my thought process was here and your thought process was here. We just weren't together. Mm-hmm. But we were doing the same thing.
right.
So.
And sometimes it's just about, we're watching Amazing Race right now, right? And there's something new they introduced, the fork in the road. I felt like that was such a great analogy to how we think, right? Where we are on the same page about the important things in life and even about the minute things in life. We're on the same page, but we have different ideas of how to get there. So this fork in the road that they had to do was all leading them to the pit stop, but doing different things.
Same ending.
And for some people,
roads.
Easy. For other people, hard.
Yep.
And it's not that this road was easy and this road was hard. There were people who succeeded right away on both roads and they failed on both roads. So that's how I see, like, okay, you chose to go left and I chose to go right. And we have different strategies for how to get to the pit stop. But along the way, there's a clashing of heads because it feels like you're not on the same page.
Right.
Or not so much that. Sometimes I feel that we feel like we're missing each other. Like you're trying to make me understand, like, I'm on your side. I'm telling you I'm on your side, but then why don't you agree with me?
Right.
You know? So things that are not to be feared, I feel, right? Because people, I think, have an idea that when you get to a certain time frame of marriage, you should have figured out XYZ, right? But the fact that it's always
if you put it in a
a
box,
learning, you know?
if you put it in a box and you say you're supposed to be here, and if you don't hit that box, then you're failing. Then you're failing, because the point is that you can't be in a. You can't say I'm going to be here in 5 years, or I'm going to be here in 2 years, or I'm going to be here in 6 months, because you don't know. You don't know what the journey is going to, put in front of you for you to, be able to get to that spot.
Yeah.
So
So I just think that the fact that the two parties want to continue to learn, and it's something that you want to continue to invest in, that's where, for me, I would really encourage people to get the app, because there's things about each other that you think, like for us, you would think, well, we know all this stuff, right? And my favorite is when we do these quizzes.
bro,
Right?
we're
And
so
you have
bad
to,
at the quizzes.
but I disagree, right? Because you, for example, don't like to play with ambiguous answers. You like to be very black and white.
Black and white.
And then
you're
I
gray.
like to throw in sometimes both, because if you ask a question, right, who's most considerate? I feel like when I look at you, I feel like you are considerate. I would hope that you feel I'm considerate, but then I would put, there
It's
isn't
also,
one person who shines more than the other on that end.
And
I would
for
put both,
me,
and you would
I'm
put
you.
exactly. And so now we get the answer wrong because we didn't choose the right answer.
Right.
But isn't that also representative of what we just talked about?
It is.
We are on the same page, and yet we are off. We're on opposite sides because we're choosing different answers.
Yep.
But again, so I would encourage it, just because there's always something to learn about your partner. And then there's stuff that you learn about you. Like, hey, I've been thinking about this all wrong. Or, like just hearing you talk about what you feel like the app does for you and for us. You're not just doing the app to do the app, to check the box,
Yeah.
so.
And even when you do it just to do it, it's still, you get in there and you're like, oh, that's an interesting thought. And then it brings you kind of back into it.
So very unlike what our normal conversation is, I feel like we have been on one subject without deviating. And
Wow.
yeah, very interesting. So today I had a thought
Hey.
when I chose my coffee cup. All right.
We are in sync today. I just had a thought. You see the squirrel there and the squirrel here? For those that missed it. Okay, hold on.
Wait, but I had a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Do you remember your thing?
I will.
Say yours first.
No, I will.
Say yours first.
No, I will remember my thing.
So when I grabbed the coffee cup today and I saw my squirrel, I was like, first of all, finding this cup for me was so exciting, because I felt like someone made a cup for me. Pretty sure it's meant to be a fall cup, just because of the color on the inside. But that's me. That's my spirit animal, is the squirrel, right? And then I thought, does a squirrel recognize another squirrel? are you too squirrely to recognize another squirrel? So, do our listeners see the resemblance? Do they see, oh yeah, she's totally squirrely? Because I feel like that comes out loud and clear.
Okay, but hold on.
But if you're a squirrel listening to me, do you feel like I'm all over the place? Or is it like, no, that's...
You consciously are more present because...
This is in my way. You know, I'm trying to drink and it's like...
You can separate it some more, remember? I've made adjustments to it.
All right.
If you put the cup between you and the mic, it's not going to work. Just so you know. Okay, so the fact that you are squirrely is probably brought down just a little bit because we're on the podcast. Because you have to come in with a little bit more intentionality in what... I guess that's the word for today. Intentionality. It's... You're like really wanting to make sure that you are on subject or you have thoughts. What are you shaking your head for?
Because that's not how I come into it at all.
Subconsciously, maybe. Bro, you can't come in here just with random... Are you really coming in like that? I'm mentally prepared to come in here. So am I the reason why we keep... Really? I'm so proud of myself.
And that the thing is that you go into rabbit trails as well.
I do.
But you are the reason why everything stays on board now.
Oh, I forgot what I was going to talk about.
I knew it. See, that's why you take it when I give it to you.
Well, I'm bringing it back.
Do you remember?
I think if I start talking about it,
okay,
I got it.
Go. Just do it.
I don't.
Okay, you keep thinking offline there. Okay.
Oh, the reason why we are thinking so like together. So in the past 8 days, we've had a couple things happen. We had planetary alignments.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. We had a time change. Mm-hmm. We stayed up like teenagers. Mm-hmm. And I think we reset our clocks. You know the saying that at least twice a day a broken clock is right?
Yeah. So
I think right now we're in that space.
Because you're feeling that.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely feeling it today. Feeling it today. And yesterday, I felt like we were just we were like click 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 click. Not like we were at odds, but we were just like click click,
like a hair
click click
apart from each other.
Yes, and then staying up till 3:30 in the morning, and waking up this morning at 10:30 in the morning.
But can we also talk about the fact that it was actually 2:30 and 9:30? Can we actually talk about that? Because sleeping till 9:30 is unheard of. Mm-hmm. I feel that really the latest, and this is rarely an occasion, is 9 a.m.
Right.
But normal, it's 8. That's for normal when we get up. Okay.
For me.
On the weekends.
Is really rare.
Because we get up ungodly early on the weekdays. And we never go to sleep that late. But yesterday was UFC. So we're dating ourselves right now. But there was a pay-per-view event.
Well, we just talked about the time change.
There was, also. But there was a UFC event, right? A pay-per-view event.
Which, can we just discuss for just a quick little second? Mm-hmm. We had a phenomenal night last night. The fights were absolutely incredible.
Very profitable.
Very profitable for us. We both made the same, just basically the same amount of money.
It's so funny because it's whatever time it is at night. What is it? Almost 2? No, it was 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it was 1:30.
It was 1:30 in the morning. We're both sitting there holding our breath.
Okay, so we had... Can I set it up? Let me set it up.
They're doing the announcement of who won the fight.
Hold on, let's set it up.
Okay.
So we had a parlay, right, which is where we guessed.
Okay.
Where we put in our bets.
This is for people who don't know what
For
a
who
parlay
don't know,
is. Okay.
We put in our bets for 3 different fighters, 2 of which were underdogs. But we felt that in our research, we were on point, and that these were the guys that were going to win. And we hit the first 2, and we're watching the last fight, the championship fight for light heavyweight. They're going at it. Like, one round goes to one guy, the other guy gets the other round. All of a sudden, he gets stung. The champion is like in trouble, and we're just watching as this thing is unfolding. It goes the full length of the fight, which is the first time for both of these guys in, like, I think ever for one of them. And
Matt, you went back to the beginning.
Why?
Just saying, you
I
set
had to
up
set it
way
up.
more than
No,
I
but
meant to.
I had to set it up. And then we're sitting there at 1:30 in the morning. At this point, we're like propped up in our chairs, waiting for the announcement. The announcement comes. We had both bet on the same guy. All we needed to do was for him to come through, and he comes through, and we are screaming at the top of our lungs in excitement, high-fiving and like jumping on the couch like children from how exciting that situation was. It was so much fun. Yesterday was just a blast.
Sometimes you're anticipating this this pay-per-view, the hype for it is just, immense, and then you get to it and there's a disappointment. Either there were a lot of just like boring fights, or you didn't get what you were expecting from the main event. But yesterday
we started the night off with disappointment.
Well,
because
for you,
2 fights. Well, 2 fights.
I
were
had
canceled.
nothing. I had nothing in that.
I had both of those fighters.
I know, but they did make you pay an ugly price. I felt like that was a little uncalled for.
Oh yeah.
Just the yeah. But bottom line being that it's so rewarding when you have a night where the entire event, minus one fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, that's forgettable, right? But that was one to remember. And what did I tell you? This was Ankalaev's 13th fight on UFC 313. And that's my favorite number. And a lot of people feel that's an unlucky number. And
it worked out.
It
worked out.
Perfection. In fact, they're already calling for a rematch.
Yep.
Because people are not happy that he won. And I'm thinking, it's not even because there's people who were cheering for him who didn't have any skin in the game, So it was very satisfying.
Lots
and
lots of fun.
That's not a spoiler, because if you're here now and you
still
don't know you live under a rock.
That's on you, buddy.
You live under a rock, but
that's on
it
you.
It was a great evening.
It was.
So that's an example of how we talk about squirrels, and now we're in the UFC. So back to the question, does a squirrel recognize another squirrel?
I think
not. I'll say why.
Yes.
All right. So let me say my part first. I think not, because I have, for example, one sister that I can just to pick one person, right? Who is extremely squirrely. And we can be having a conversation and I'm matching her like step to step, right? There's nothing about like, oh, go back to this. No, we will get to the end of our conversation. We'll talk for an hour. We talked about so many things, and then we'll go back and say, dang it, we didn't finish talking about this. Nobody realized that until we hung up. That'll be a text later, right? And in that moment, at no point am I thinking, oh, we're talking like this because we're both squirrels. She's being squirrely right now. I don't know that she's thinking I'm being squirrely. So to me, being a squirrel, talking to another squirrel doesn't feel squirrely because you're able to meet them right where they're going to be the whole time. Now, I think when I talk to my other sister, Mary, for example, who is very not to
regimented.
not to use the word rigid, but she's very structured. She's very
Regimented.
point that, yes, but not rigid. Point A.
I said regimented.
And I said rigid. That's why I said not to say rigid. Yes, regimented. That's good.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
A to B, right? That's how there's a starting point, there's an ending point. Like that's how she is. I feel like she suffers me, right? Because I'm her sister. And maybe it has prepared her to have conversations with other people who are like that.
What do you think about the statement that I suffer you sometimes?
I would agree that that's true.
But I do it because I want to, though. I am paired up with a squirrel.
Yes. But you do it because you want to, of course. Yes.
So
But if you didn't want to, you wouldn't do it.
In the understanding that I am paired up with a squirrel, that's who I've hitched my wagon to.
Exactly.
Okay. I know that the road is going to be windy and bumpy, and it's going to go through a lot of different loops and turns. I'm there for the ride. Now, because I feel that I am more structured or more regimented on myself, I feel that I just got to make sure I buckle in so I don't fall out of the wagon. And I grab the reins and I pull and turn where I can just to keep things in line. It doesn't mean that I'm holding you back from being a squirrel.
Absolutely.
Or that I'm upset that you're being squirrely.
But wait, you have to now go back and tell me why you're saying all this stuff, because I'm unsure if this is just a random musing that you had, or if you were combating something I said.
I think I was a little bit of both. So I was combating what you were saying because you were talking about how Mary's suffering you. Right? And it was me combating that, saying that it's by choice.
Okay.
Because Mary doesn't have to sit through a conversation.
But that's what I'm saying. She chooses to do that because I'm her sister.
Correct. Well, she also enjoys conversation with you. Okay,
but then why did you feel like you needed to say that as well?
I don't know.
It's just a regular musing you were having.
This is where it's a little bit of both. Where I was
giving me?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I feel like you lost your way there. And I have to tell you something. When you lose your way, you lose me as well. I literally have this mental image in my mind.
My brain right now is working overtime.
To understand.
Trying to understand where I was going.
Right. That's where I
have no idea.
Here's the thing. I feel like the train was going by super, super fast. I'm on it. Right?
Okay, we're back on the train.
You're talking to me. You're talking to me. You're talking to me. And all of a sudden, you missed your exit. Right? And now all of a sudden, I feel myself fading away. Like the train's going and I'm fading away and I'm completely disengaged from the conversation.
You fell out of the train.
Exactly. I have no idea where you were going. How does that connect? What you were trying to say. And it's awful because you know how in the movie, well, I don't know in the movies, but you know how there's like the sound effect where it's like everything's loud and then everything like, it's like muffled, right? And then all of a sudden you're back and everything's very loud again. That's what it feels like in my brain sometimes.
What was the movie with McConaughey? Interstellar. They did that a lot in the movie.
Did they?
Yeah, the music, remember, would come in and would just like block everything and then
No,
go
but I mean
away.
like with them where they're doing a perspective
Oh, the
where
perspective.
they're listening, it's everything's loud and then everything just gets muffled very, very quiet and then everything's loud again, right? Um Usually just shows some sort of anxiety or something. I feel like that's when they use that. I feel like they've done that in Sopranos a lot.
Yeah.
Where that happens, right? But I feel like that's my brain. It is sharp, it is listening, it is taking in all this information, and all of a sudden I'm too muffled space, right? And I can't hear what you're saying anymore. I'm completely lost and I come back into the conversation, but I missed a huge chunk of it. And I hope you don't ask me any questions.
Well, here's the problem. So that chunk that
And
you're
not
missing,
you. This is anybody.
I know, but that big chunk that you're missing, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I know. But it's like there's so much
But
I
I'm
miss.
saying, because I was, okay, so I had a thought. I processed the thought. I processed the words.
'Cause I feel
got
like-
the words
yeah.
together. I started saying the words, but as I was saying the words, I was purging the thought.
Yeah.
So when the words all came out and I tried to put it back together with a thought, I'm standing
I'm
like
glad
this,
that it wasn't just me, though.
going like, what
Yeah.
did I just talk about?
What was that about? I'm glad it
So-
wasn't just me.
So for anyone who's listening, if you have an idea where I was going,
No,
let
that's
me
the
know.
thing. I feel like everybody's like, huh, what are you trying to say about that, though? Because it was such a...
When I listen to it back,
Maybe you'll get what
if
you were
I
trying to say.
get what I was saying, I'll put it in the comments.
Yes.
That way people can actually...
I remember.
I remember what it was.
Listen, would you say that I'm really good with words? Like I have a vocabulary for days,
A ridiculous
right?
one,
Okay,
yes.
so somebody from the other office that's next to where I work, they came by and it was one of those days where it was like your hair's in a bun sort of day, right? And they were like, oh my God, where are your bangs? Right? And I was like, they're there. They're just, and I stop right there. The word is right here that I'm trying to say, but I can't think. And it's a room that we share with this other office, right? So they're bringing a patient in. She's standing at the door like, and I'm like, they're patients in the room. I know she's trying to go, and I'm standing there like a blubbering fool, unable to come up with the word.
I thought you were going to use a different word there.
Okay.
I heard
You
that
heard a
word.
different
Oh,
word?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Oh my gosh. And all I can say is like they can be changed. And in me, I just feel like the life leave me. The light in my eyes is gone. What have I just said? And she was like, oh.
Okay.
And she left. Okay. And I was like, they can be changed? That's the best you could come up with. That's not even at all what you were trying to say.
Liar, liar.
And
I've
then-
had better.
Listen. And
you
then,
walk away, you're like, they can be changed?
yes. And I was thinking, she thinks they were fake. They can be changed.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God.
And the fact that people had already said that they looked fake.
And we talked
And
about that.
now you had...
I said
oh.
they can be changed. So now it's lunchtime. I'm out. The entire time I'm at lunch, I'm thinking, what is the word? I have to go back. I have to show her. They're not fake. You know, what is the word? What is the word? And I was like, you know what? I need to just like close my eyes for a second. I need to let my brain think. Long time ago, someone very wise said, when you're stuck on a problem,
Someone very
your
wise.
brain, yeah.
Can we sing the song?
Really?
Oh, never mind.
Wait, what song do you want to sing?
Go back.
Oh my
Go
gosh.
back to where you were.
And that is not the person. And
I
that is
thought-
not the
Oh,
saying
I
for
thought
that
you were
one.
talking about Steve from Blue's Clues.
No, that's when you forget what you were doing or where you put something. Okay. But this one was about stop trying to bring it to the surface. Engage yourself in something else. Your brain knows the task and it will remember on its own. It continues to work even after you've disengaged from it. Okay, so ever since I heard that, I have used that, and it's incredible. Sometimes it'll be 3 o'clock in the morning and I'll wake up and I'll be like, I remember. Because finally the brain is like, here you go. Here's what you were looking for. So all of a sudden, ding, versatile. That's the word I was looking for. And I'm so excited. I'm like, versatile, versatile, versatile. Because God knows that from here to going back into work, I may forget the word. Okay. And I was like, versatile, versatile. As soon as I go in, I go find her. And I'm like, listen. And she's looking at me like, oh my God, that's the day that I told you everyone was asking me, are you okay? Because my cheeks were so flushed.
You sent me a picture.
Maybe they were flushed because of the endorphins that were going through me, because I am about to be, what's the word now?
Relieved
of
your blunder.
Yes. Yes. Okay. And I find her and she's like, yes, like something's wrong, right? And I was like, I remember the word. And then I just grab my hair and I pull my hair and I'm like, they're here. The word I was looking for is versatile. She starts laughing because her eyebrows went up when I pulled my thing. And I, to this day, cannot figure out if her eyebrows went up in surprise that they were not fake or in surprise that I was pulling my hair. I don't know. This is where the overthinking brain becomes your enemy, right? And when I say versatile, she starts laughing and she's like, oh my goodness, I love it because I want to get bangs too, she said. And I've been thinking, well, there's some days where you just need to pull them back. And I said, that's the trick. Do them long so that if you have a day where you need to, they can go up. If you have a day you want them down, you can do that. So she had a laugh and I just had this like, whew, I'm saved. I'm saved. And the thing is that had I not done all that, if you could see it from her perspective, maybe she never thought that they were fake. Maybe she understood right away what I meant about them being changed.
100%.
And none of this was necessary.
I was going to say, she probably was with you, but she was allowing you. But that's my
personality.
She probably is paired with a squirrel too. Ask her. I bet you if you ask her, is she married?
Yeah.
Ask her if her husband's a little bit squirrely.
I feel like that's such an uncommon trait in men.
Yes, but it's possible. If she recognized your squirreliness.
I don't think that a lot of people know that I'm squirrely, though. I don't know that a lot of people do. That's the thing, is that that's the thing that's so, when you say that I come in here and I'm like ready to contain myself and all that stuff, right?
Listen.
So here's the thing. I tell on myself, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Because,
you might as well wear a neon sign over your head that says, I'm a squirrel.
But I don't think that people can attribute that to being squirrely. They just feel like, wow, like your face. Do you know that your face talks for you? Right? And I don't think that actually that's an attribute of a squirrel. But they have said, like, I'm very animated. I ask like questions that they would not ask, right? But what does that make you? Like unafraid to ask? I don't know that they've tied the dots. They haven't hung out with me outside of work. I'm very professional at work, where even, for example, I told you about the patient where I heard a sound. I heard voices. And instead of me keeping that to myself, I said that out loud to the patient. And I said, don't you hear the voices? Okay. To which their horror, was like, get me out of this room, right? If you knew a squirrel with those tendencies, right? Maybe you wouldn't think so much of it.
But not everyone does.
Exactly.
Or not everyone interacts with a squirrel.
Correct.
The way that you do.
Correct.
Or the way
so
I do.
Yes. And I think some of that's rubbed off on you a little bit.
It has.
Or you've embraced more of less rigidness.
I've embraced. So this is where you've become more regimented in things, certain things. This is where we've blended.
I highly disagree with what you're saying, but
Yeah,
I'll
so do I,
accept
actually.
it.
I'm trying to give you a
because
compliment.
regimented to me sounds very restrictive.
But it's not. It's
No.
not regiment. It's not.
I do feel like I
It
keep
is
you on
not.
track more than I would normally.
Because you have a little bit of that in your personality that's been pulled out.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
I have always appreciated how steady you are, how a sure thing you are, how deeply rooted you are. To me, I admire that in you so much because I feel like I wish I could just be still. For example, I don't know if we're out of time or not, but for example, an interview strategy, right, is to put a person in a swivel chair, right, to see if they're doing exactly what I'm doing, to see if you can stay still. Are you focused? Are you just like a nervous wreck, right? And today I became aware of how much I move my chair.
All the time.
But that's what I was going to say. Do I move my chair or was it just today?
All the time.
My hands where they are. I sit on my hands a lot. I tuck my hands in my shirt a lot. And that's because I become aware of my movements and I'm trying to tone it down for people, right? Because not that I mind how I am, but I know that for some people it's uncomfortable. And in me just thinking about others, sometimes I choose to mute myself a little bit so that it's not too overwhelming for people around me, you know?
Well, we'll end it with this.
And I don't know if in the chat, if they're like, bro, she moves a lot. She's bouncing. She's doing this. In fact, what did you say? When I go still, there's a problem?
Yes.
When I go still is when like the life's out of me.
Yes.
The lights are out.
And
the happiness is just gone.
And we'll end with this statement so we can enjoy the rest of our day because it is later in the day because we woke up so late.
Mm-hmm.
We'll end with this. I would be extremely boring if it wasn't for your squirreliness.
Do you think so?
And you would be completely wild if it wasn't for
I would
the
be
way
like
that I am.
I would be like an untamed squirrel. I'm a domesticated squirrel.
You're a domesticated squirrel.
Hey, that's actually a thing that people keep.
They do. Yeah, they do. All right.
Did I tell you about the squirrel that we had when we were a kid?
No.
It was a baby squirrel. Let's see. Leave a comment below if you remember this. There was a baby squirrel that we had. My dad brought it in. Must have fallen from a tree. We had it in a little box. The cutest little thing ever. He went to go feed it. Bit him right in the finger. My dad said, he's got to go. That was the saddest thing in the world.
Poor squirrel. Just being a squirrel.
I know. But I guess he thought, hey, dangerous. Just a baby and it bites that hard? Gotta go cut him.
Teeth. They break nuts.
They do break nuts. Poor thing. So we never know what happened to that little squirrel. Did I tell you he brought us a dead owl?
He's living his life.
Did I tell you?
You didn't tell me about the squirrel. How are you going to tell me about the dead owl?
Listen, a whole dead owl. Who knows if a truck hit it? Who knows? A big old white owl he brought us like this. Dead. He said he just want like a science lesson. Like, look, we held it. We moved its head. It was like a toy. And it wasn't even stiff. I don't know if that's illegal or not. But this was a long time ago. Why are you waving at me?
Because the guy for the dog is outside waiting. And I'm trying to end the podcast for the last 10 minutes. And you keep going. I'm like giving you signs. I'm like kicking my leg. Both arms are over here. I'm like,
that's the first time I noticed you.
I'm like, and we'll end it with this. And you're like, I've got 3 more stories. I doubt he's out there. I'm going to be honest with you.
You think he left?
It's been 10 minutes.
No. Did you text him back?
Did you see me grab my phone? Not once today.
Wow.
Okay, hold on. We're ending it. Guys, subscribe. I hope you enjoyed this episode. The squirrel over there just won't stop, and I got to go because this guy's outside waiting. You good?
Good.
All right. I was about to say I love you, but we do. We love our fans.
Yeah, I
Anyways,
told you when I told the neighbor I loved him.
Stop. That's the story for next time. Like, subscribe, leave comments. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, all that other good stuff. I'm Peter. That's Kept Me of the Squirrel. We out. You ready?
Yes.
All right. Have a good one. See you guys next time. Bye now.
I blew kisses at him and waved at him, and I was like, bye, love you.
So you got your story in?
Oh, are you still recording?
It's still recording, of course. Yes. All right. Say goodbye to the camera.
Bye now.